Welcome students. In today's video session, we are going to study the another part of the plant, that is the seed. As we know that ovary matures and after fertilization it develops as fruit. Likewise, the ovule present inside the ovary develops into seed. So actually the seeds are the developed or matured ovule. We have studied in lower classes that depending upon the cotyledons present in the seed, plants are of two types, dicot plants and monocot plants. And since the basic difference is on the basis of seed, so likewise seeds are also of two types, dicot seeds and monocot seeds. So let's study about the seeds in detail. The seed, as we know, develops from the ovule. The ovules after fertilization develop into seeds. Morphologically, seed can be defined as an integumented megasporangium with a functional megaspore. A typical seed has three parts. You can see I have written a typical seed has three parts. Seed coat, the embryo and the endosperm. So let's discuss these one by one. The seed coat develops from integument and it is made up of two layers. Seed coat is the outer covering of the seed and it has two layers. The outer layer is called testa and the inner layer is called the tegumen. There is a small opening at one end of the seed that is called micropyle. The second part of the seed is called the embryo. It is enclosed inside the seed coat. Again, the embryo is having two parts. The first part is the cotyledon, which may be one in monocot seeds and two in dicot seeds. Cotyledon stores food and becomes fleshy. Sometimes they do not store food and then they remain thin. The second part of embryo is called tigellum. It is the main axis of embryo having radicle on one side which grows as root and plumule on other side which develops as shoot. The third part of the seed is called the endosperm. Endosperm is a tissue filled with food. In some dicot seed, it is present till maturity and such seeds are called endospermic seeds. For example, papaya seeds, castor seeds, etc. In other dicot seeds, endosperm is consumed at early stage by the growing cotyledon and hence those seeds are called non-endospermic because the endosperm is not present for a longer period of time. Example of non-endospermic dicot seeds are bean, gram, pea, etc. Monocot seeds are mostly endospermic, means they have endosperm and such seeds are called endospermic. Example, wheat, rice and coconut. So it is a typical part of the seed coat, embryo and endosperm. No matter the seed is dicot or monocot. Now let's study in detail structure of a typical dicot seed and then structure of a typical monocot seed. So let's start with the dicot seed. A dicot seed is having two cotyledons. Good examples are bean, pea, gram. Here the structure of gram is explained. The gram seed being dicotyledonous having two cotyledons present in it. It is a non-endospermic seed and it means that endosperm is consumed by the cotyledon at early stage. Gram seeds having two cotyledons, and these cotyledons are attached to an embryo axis. You can see the structure of gram seed over here. It is the outer covering called testa. The outer, that dark brown layer of the seed is called testa. This part is called hilum, and here a very small opening you can see. This is called micropyle. If you open up the seed, you will find two cotyledons which are attached to a embryo axis. This is the embryo axis, and the point where cotyledons are attached to that embryo axis is called a node, cotyledonary node. One end of embryo axis develops as plumule and other end develops as radicle. Further, the radicle will grow as root and plumule will grow as shoot. The place between node and plumule is called epicotyle, and the place between node and radicle is called hypocotyle. So the plumule is actually the bud which will form shoot, and radicle will form the root. This is the structure of a typical dicot seed, that is a gram seed. Since it is non-endospermic, that is endosperm is used up at early stage, and therefore no endosperm can be seen over here. So students, this is the structure of a typical dicot gram seed. Now let's discuss about the monocot seed. As we know, monocots have a single cotyledon. Here we are going to study maize seed as an example of the monocot seed. Here the seed coat is thin and fused with the fruit wall called pericarp. It is the characteristic feature of cereals, fruit of cereals, and generally of monocots, that seed coat is generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is more in amount. You can see this entire portion is endosperm. It is large and stores food in form of starch. A thin proteinaceous layer is present around the endosperm. You can see this layer with black I have drawn. This layer is called aleurone layer. So it is a proteinaceous layer which surrounds the endosperm. The embryo is small, very small, and present in a groove at one end of the endosperm. The embryo has a short axis with plumule and radicle. So this is the structure. If you cut down the seed, you will find such a structure, very much amount of endosperm and a very thin and situated at side embryo. So this is the structure of a typical monocot seed, that is of maize. So students, this is all about the seed, the dicot seed and the monocot seed. So students, this is some question for you which are based on today's video. Try to answer these questions. The very first one is, what are endospermic and non-endospermic seeds? You will explain about endospermic and non-endospermic seed, and also you will give examples of them. The second question is, draw a diagram of a typical monocot seed and name its different parts. So here you have to draw a well-labeled diagram of a monocot seed. The third question, what is the importance of floral formula and floral diagram? So why it is important to have a floral formula and floral diagram? What are the significance of these? Write the features of the flower having following floral formula. I have given you 3 floral formula, and on that basis you have to describe the characteristic of flower. So see it. I cannot read that. So see the diagram, see the floral formula, and try to decode the meaning which is the which is hidden inside this floral formula. Semi-technical description of a flowering plant. Till now we have studied about various parts of a typical flowering plant. Various morphological features are indicated and studied to describe the characteristic of a particular plant. These characteristics, these morphological features are the identification or speciality of a special type of plant. These description includes habits, floral parts, number of floral parts, their arrangement with themselves, their attachment with other floral parts, etc. To be brief and also to tell maximum in minimum words, there is a concept of floral formula and floral diagram. Floral formula and floral diagrams are symbolic and numerical representation of various floral parts. It tells the structure in minimum and symbolic numeric description. So, a floral formula is used to describe the characteristic of a flower, and a floral diagram is the diagrammatic representation of a flower which tells maximum about its floral holes, numbers and its arrangements. So let's study about these two. First, about floral formula. As I said, the floral formula is a symbolic and numerical representation. It provides the information regarding symmetry, floral parts, sexuality, etc. A floral diagram is an illustration of a cross section of a flower. It represents a flower with symbols. So, it is very important and some symbols are used to explain the floral formula. You can see I have written some commonly used symbols for floral formula. EBR. EBR denotes ebracteate flower. Now you know about bracteate flowers. So EBR denotes ebracteate flower. BR denotes bracteate flower. K is used for calyx. After K, we write the number which represents the number of calyx. So if we have written K5, it means there are 5 calyx. Again, C represents corolla and we write the number of corolla. So it tells the number of corolla present in it. P is used for perianth. So in some flowers, as we have discussed earlier, calyx and corolla are not distinct and hence that whole is called perianth. So P denotes perianth. A is for androecium, and again after A we write down the number. Suppose a flower is having 10 androecium which are not fused. So we will write A10. Suppose the androeciums are fused in 2 bundles, diadelphous. 9 plus 1, we will write A 9 plus 1. Likewise, G denotes gynoecium. Now see, if G is having underlined, it means superior ovary. If G is having a line on its top, it means inferior ovary. This structure, a circle having an arrow on its top and a plus sign on its base, represents bisexual flower. Again, the circle having only an arrow denotes unisexual male flower. A circle with plus sign at its base denotes unisexual female flower. A circle with a plus sign inside denotes actinomorphic flower, and some percentage like sign, a slash with 2 circles denotes zygomorphic flower. Two important parameters which are estivation and placentation. These cannot be explained through floral formula. Floral formula cannot explain about estivation and placentation. It can be denoted with the help of floral diagram. In a floral diagram, the mother axis is denoted by a dot sign or a circle within a plus sign. So here is the mother axis. It means it is the posterior side of the flower. In floral diagram, various floral parts are shown with the help of diagram, you can say, and also here estivation can be seen. So you can see this is the first hole, that is calyx. So I have drawn here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 calyx are there with velvet estivation. You can see the margins are just touching each other. If they are extended, they will only touch each other. So such estivation is called velvet estivation. So you can see velvet estivation is found in the calyx. The second hole here is the corolla. You can see over here, and you can clearly see twisted estivation. So here again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corollas are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6 corollas are there. 6 petals are there with twisted estivation. This structure denotes the androecium. So we can count down the number of androecium, and this is gynoecium. Again, here the gynoecium is unilocular. You can draw it by or poly also. So with the help of floral diagram also, some characteristics of the flower can be described. Fusion of any floral part, in case of floral formula, fusion of any floral part is expressed by putting the figures within brackets. Like if 5 corollas are there which are fused together, we will write in such way. If corollas are not fused together, we will write in such way. So it means this is gamopetalous and this is polypetalous and this is gamopetalous condition. Also, the adhesion can be shown with the line above the symbol of floral parts. If two floral parts are connected, sometimes androecium remains connected with the corolla, then in that case this symbol represents the adhesion between two floral parts. So this is the technique to write down the floral formula of a flower. I am writing over there a floral formula, and afterward I will tell you the meaning of that floral formula. But as I am writing, you try to decode it. Now try to decode the meaning of this floral formula. This symbol says the flower is actinomorphic, means circular flower which can be cut into two equal halves from more than a single plane. This tells the flower is bisexual, having both androecium and gynoecium, having both male and female part in it. K5, 5 within a bracket indicates that sepals are united. C5, again corolla are 5 in number and all are united. A4 plus 2 means androecium are diadelphous in 2 bundles having 4 and 2, and it is having superior ovary which is bilocular, 2 chambered, or 2 gynoeciums are there, 2 pistils are there. So it is the floral formula which is representing the characteristic of the flower.